Hello, everybody, and welcome to the channel update post Kingdom Hearts 3 edition. What already? Yeah. Um, I have been having fun playing Kingdom Hearts. I've been having fun also with a pretty small group of people, but I don't know, we've had a lot of funny comments and all that sort of stuff. It's been good with the comment section, but I think I'm going to switch to playing something else other than Kingdom Hearts 3. I'm still interested in it, and I'm going to play it off camera, and I might come back and do a highlight pack. But I think the density of I don't know what's worth showing in it is a little lower than I would have hoped. And for the record, the reason I never did a Kingdom Hearts 2 or 2.5 Final Mix HD plus Let's Play is because, I realistically would have skipped almost everything in Agrabah or places like that. Include Tron, and that's maybe it. And I don't know, some of the core plot stuff, which I actually like in that. My biggest frustration with Kingdom Hearts 3 is actually that it isn't Kingdom Hearts 2. It's a game I liked when it came out, KH2 I'm talking about, but I've really grown to appreciate it more and more over time. And the remake I guess we could call it a remake. The update of it for the 2.5 Final Mix is even better. So it's tough when you consider, let's talk about Kingdom Hearts for a little bit here. You have Kingdom Hearts 1, which nowadays the stereotype of the Kingdom Hearts series is that it's super convoluted and messy and crazy and everything. When it was just Kingdom Hearts 1, it actually had a fairly clean plot. It's about three kids who want to go exploring. They want to go adventuring and see if they can find anything because, Kairi that showed up one day from seemingly nowhere, and they want to go see, well, maybe we'll find where she came from. And they're going to sail to do it. And then things get sidetracked when their world is destroyed. And from there, you discover, okay, there's these things called Heartless, and when a person succumbs to evil inside themselves, they turn into a Heartless, and it's pretty clean. And so you got to wipe them out, got to stop the bad guys that are manipulating them. Chain of Memories happens. We'll gloss it over for now, but it's sort of a follow-up, because Kingdom Hearts 1 does not end with a resolution. It ends with Riku and Mickey on one side of Kingdom Hearts, Sora and Kairi on the other, and Sora and Kairi even get separated. So the group is split into three again, just like the problem they were trying to resolve through most of it, where Sora, Riku, and Kairi got scattered after the world's destroyed, and that's the end of it. 2 has the problem that, okay, our heroes are scattered. They add a little bit of complexity to the mythos where it's there's nobodies. So whenever a Heartless is created, the body, because they succumb to evil, a person, and so that creates a Heartless, but, what happens to the body? And it's okay, well, it turns into a nobody. And then there's the little side effect of, oh, I guess that means Sora has a nobody because, he stabbed himself in the heart with a Keyblade and turned himself into a Heartless at one point. So there's some interesting fallout from that. Okay, we've got a nobody of Sora running around, and we've got all these things, and they tell a nice little story about Sora's nobody, and there's the bad guys, Organization 13, which they introduce in Chain of Memories, and Sora takes out about 5 out of 13 of them, so there's still some of them left. And at Kingdom Hearts 2, Sora's nobody is returned to Sora. It's a happy reunion because Kairi's nobody, Namine, is returned to her, and they're together. Sora, Riku, and Kairi are together. All of Organization 13 is destroyed. That's the trilogy. It's wrapped up. Everyone's together again. Everything's good. Everything's fixed. So got Kingdom Hearts 1, Chain of Memories, and 2. That's the real trilogy. It reminds me actually of Narnia, which started with The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and that was sort of pretty clean, self-contained, and then, oh, these books are popular, hey, you should do some more. Okay, I'll do some more. So he does Prince Caspian and Voyage of the Dawn Treader, and hey, That's a nice little trilogy. Oh well, let's just add a couple more. And I mean, I like the Silver Chair is not a slam dunk, okay, but you know, I like a lot of the other ones. I like A Horse and His Boy. Um, but those were all written by a really good author. um, I feel like now some of the weirder Kingdom Hearts issues are brought in, and they're doing it all so they can reboot the problem they've already fixed. Oh, I guess we got to separate these people. You know, okay, we got to invent Terra, Aqua, and Ven, and now we got to say this thing like, oh, Sora's heart has actually got Ventus. They do all these messy things, and they're just trying to clean up the mess they already made, and they do it kind of retreading a whole bunch of stuff that's already been done. Like they reintroduce Organization 13 so we can wipe them out again, but that's what was accomplished in 2. Anyway, it's all like that stuff's kind of frustrating to me and kills my mojo a little bit. And then, you know, they remove the Final Fantasy people, and I'm a weirdo. I'm not nostalgic about 90% of the Disney stuff in any of the Kingdom Hearts games. I like Tron and I like Winnie the Pooh. And if they ever put the cartoon Robin Hood in, I would lose my mind because it would be awesome. But that's really the end of it for me. But seeing, like, you know, Cloud and Squall again and that sort of stuff was awesome. Because, you know, they did it in a neat little way. Fighting Sephiroth is one of the best boss fights ever. Yeah, that's what they cut. So it's a little frustrating. Anyway, and to be honest, the view count is also super low. So it's like, you know, there's some people that are enjoying the ride or whatever, but I'm losing my fire for at least Let's Playing it. I'm curious to see what happens at the end. I've had a couple things spoiled for me for the ending though, and it made me want to make a video to rant about it. We're actually already tiptoeing into that territory right now. Yeah, geez, what? There's this thing in writing called like Chekhov's gun, where it's like, okay, don't load a gun in chapter 1 in act 1 if you're not going to fire it in act 3, unless you're maybe doing a mystery thing and you need a red herring. It's like, then it has a different plot purpose though, right? It's there to entirely misdirect you from the real thing, because really you should have been worrying about the knife. You were worried about the loaded gun. That's the only reason you should do it. And this is like a second tier of that, where it's like they loaded Chekhov's gun, they fired it, and then they reloaded it, and then they fired it at the same person again. And it's like, well, you don't need to do that either. Anyway, so that's what the whole game is based on. I'm calm. I'm having a good time. Might need to drink some tea. Anyway, yeah, viewer count was also a little low, so man, I was trying to talk about that and I leaped right back into it. This could be the rant video. Anyway, and to be frank, also just the YouTube algorithm is really tricky for Let's Plays right now. Even a channel like even Game Grumps, they're a pretty big Let's Play channel, and they've actually had to make major adjustments. They like cut Steam Train, and they've slowly just stopped doing everything Let's Playing except for like 8 episodes of Game Grumps a week, which is crazy. They used to do like 28 once you had like Steam Train and all their other things going on, which is pretty crazy. And they've switched to like not doing long games and everything. So like, it's really cool actually that Dragon Quest XI stayed as popular as it did for so long. Sorry about wrecking the flow for the ending. Anyway, it's tricky for everyone right now. I just get the vibe that YouTube is trying not to compete with Twitch for gamers or something, or I don't know, maybe. I don't know. Actually, to go back to the Game Grumps thing one more time, they have like a variety show they do, and that's like 10 times more popular than their other stuff, which is kind of illustrative of just where the algorithm's at. I guess Variety TV is the future of YouTube. It's tricky though. I don't want to switch to Twitch because I don't know if I really want to do streaming. I like that. I don't know. I like VOD more than the commitment required for streaming, where it's like, oh, you got to have a schedule. And it's like, oh, I don't want to have a schedule. Anyway, that's the stuff going on. All of that is me trying to say, let me know if there's a game you want. A lot of the time people are like, follow your heart, Dave. To be honest, I'm kind of stumped as to what to do next. I've been flirting with the idea of Civilization 6, which I've never played, because there's just, after there was a glut of too many strategy games and 4X games, now there is nothing. Like, once Endless Space 2 dropped like a sack of hammers, that was it. There's been an update to Galactic Civilizations 3, but I don't think I'm going to do another Let's Play of that. Yeah, so I thought Civ 6, maybe Vanilla, maybe Gathering Storm. I like the idea of having a strategy game with climate change in it. I think that's interesting. Because, like, Orion has pollution or whatever, but, you know, it's just really more of a dent to your productivity. You don't have to really change that much. Anyway, Mass Effect, thought about maybe doing 1 or 2. Or Xenogears is another one I was thinking of. I only played Xenogears once, and it was like 15 years ago. Maybe even longer. That game's super old. I have a copy of it from a pawn shop. And it's actually, my friend bought it from a pawn shop and gave it to me. Thanks, Jester. It's a cool game, though. I can honestly say the game is pretty good. It's got mechs, which I like, but the science fiction-y themes in it, I've literally been thinking about for, I guess, 20 years. I haven't stopped thinking about the stuff it was talking about. Like, it's just such a profound commentary of humanity. And there's giant robots that fight. So that's cool too. Anyway, so I've been thinking about that, where it's like, I remember not being crazy about the game, but being incredibly moved by it. So yeah, I don't know, maybe that'd be an interesting one to Let's Play. Maybe I do know what to do. What do you think about that? I mean, I was listening to Mass Effect music too, and was like listening to the end run to ME2, and was just like, this is one of the greatest gaming moments I've had in my life. And then Civ 6, I could say the same thing about Bobby A2. Just that title screen is one of the profound experiences of my life. Anyway, let me know if you have any ideas, if you've got a strong opinion. It's just a little tricky because, you know, there's a lot of plausible or possible choices to make, but none of them are really jumping out at me, and I don't think any are jumping out at anyone else either. So let me know. I want one I can feel strongly about again. Also, I mentioned this in like a community post or whatever, so it might have showed up on your timeline or whatever it's called, on your feed. But I did have a computer hardware problem. I thought the motherboard was fried. It appears that is not the case. It was just a power supply, which is good. They can kind of look similar, and sometimes they can cause each other, or can fry your motherboard with a bad power supply anyway. But yeah, it was just power supply, which is good. I briefly had a brand new ultra powerful computer in here, and I thought about keeping it, but I need to spend my money on something else right now. Segue. I started a company called Reclamation Games. We're working on a video game. It's actually kind of exciting. It's like almost getting very exciting, I would say. I've been in the doldrums of like grinding out some work, and I've been so close to finishing like some level design tweaks and everything. I thought I would finish today, and I got so painfully close. Anyway, that's been going on. We had another recording session, which is what the money is for. And so we've done that a couple times already. This was the last recording session with other musicians. There are a couple piano solos left to do, but those are just solo things. Mrs. Get Daved actually does that stuff. She's a very talented pianist and composer. And so that's the last hard and expensive recording session. So that's done, and that's super cool. There's one piece that still has to be composed because because I'm a jerk, we had something else that was okay. And I said we should just redo it. And yeah, there was consensus on that. So the soundtrack was actually done, and then we were like, not every song has to be your favorite, and indeed can't be your favorite. You can only have, one or two. But this is a weak link. So we threw it all out, and it's for like the opening area of the game. And I mean, that's partly why it got tossed. It was like, because you want to establish the mood, but the game also starts in like a very dire, or maybe that's the wrong word, like a dark and bad situation. But then you have a very difficult line to walk with the music, where it's like, well, you've got to engage the player, and you can't do that if it's like, oh my goodness, I want to kill myself. Like it can't be too dark. You have to sort of engage like, okay, your curiosity, but we can't make it feel like we're exploring like on Star Trek. That's too happy. So like there's this really delicate line that has to be walked that's still like being navigated. Anyway, that one's left. Gonna be a piano solo. That's a promise. And then just recording that and a couple other pieces. And the recording's done. On actual work on the game, the big thing lately has been level design. And I ripped a whole bunch of stuff apart because I don't know if I've mentioned this in a different update, but basically there was one problem that I was designing around, and I finally decided I just needed to fix it. And basically, this is a Metroidvania game. It's a story-driven Metroidvania game. So there's a script. It's had some revisions. Last time I was like, hey, I'm about to get the proofreading back, which I did. Did another round of revisions after that because the proofreader actually went way above and beyond. I thought I was just going to get grammar fixes, and they did like way more than that. They were like, hey, you didn't foreshadow this. It's like, hey, that's really useful feedback. So there's been a smoothing pass applied to that. Anyway, one of the things that I noticed with the level design was, even though it's a story-driven Metroidvania game, you still have platforming in it. Hollow Knight, you got platforming. Axiom Verge, you got platforming. Metroid, you got platforming. Even though you don't fall in a pit like Mario, you still are navigating platforms, essentially. And as a side effect of that, or as like an axiom of that, would be to have a proper platforming game, your main character has to have a certain jump height. And if you look at a lot of platformers, the characters are often actually disproportionately small or tiny. And there's a reason for that. It's so that they can have a meaningful jump proportionate to their height. And because you need them to be able to jump basically 3 times their height to be able to make an interesting puzzle and to make like obstacles and everything. And I wasn't doing that because I was trying to like pull it a little bit back to reality. And there's middle zones you can strike. Like, for example, a lot of platformers, you don't get on a platform unless your character's feet go above it, and they always keep their feet kind of low in a jump. Well, in Project Reina, if Reina's hips get above a plane, she will grab onto it and just sort of like scramble on in like this, I don't know, I think kind of good 1 second animation. So you're not actually trying to clear platforms. You kind of just need to like, get her hips above it so she can plant her hands and flip her legs up and gain, purchase on the new ledge. So that means, okay, well, you don't actually have to have her jump 20 feet in the air. It only has to be like 12 now. But yada, yada, yada. I decided I needed to move a power-up that was going to be later in the game, and I wasn't exactly certain where that gave her higher jumping capability. I needed to move that into the very first biome. And in a Metroidvania game, if you're going to have a progression item, you can't just like throw it in the middle of the room and just have them pick it up. You have to design puzzles around, oh, you can't go this way because you can't jump that high. Oh, and this leads you on a little labyrinth, and now you've gotten yourself into a mess that you can only escape if you have this power. And like, you have to do those things. So the size of the entrance biome basically doubled. It was, for Super Metroid fans, it was the size of Crateria, and now it is the size of Brinstar. Brinstar is 54 screens, in case you're wondering, with a screen defined as an area that is only accessible by transitioning through a door. And the other catch is I also, and I may have mentioned this before, I also chopped everything up differently. I'm positive I mentioned this before, but Matt Thorson, the lead guy behind Celeste and Towerfall, is really brilliant. He gave a talk at GDC and talked about breaking things up by theme and everything, and it really spoke to me and helped resolve a bunch of problems I was having with the level design. So I also sort of, refocused on stuff, and that really illuminated problems with like why I was having like a block on like, oh, how do I aesthetically design this area? And it's like, the reason you couldn't figure that out is because you had a thematic disconnect that you weren't noticing. And so we had this idea, you have your story, and then you build the themes of like based on the beats of the plot. And so, you know, if you're doing a visual design for Star Wars, it's like, you know, Luke's on the desert planet. That's a good visual metaphor for where his life's at. And then, you know, he goes to all these more exotic locations, and, you know, you would adjust the aesthetic based on that. It's like, okay, well, how do you apply that to this game? Again, you sort of look, okay, this part of the plot is sad, so we'll have her like descending deeper into something and have the aesthetic get darker and then coming back out of it. You know, it's sensible stuff, but it adds structure, and it was a good way of breaking things up and subdividing and making the level design a lot more flexible. So doing that while expanding to basically double the size of the opening has been occupying a lot of my time. And yeah, I got like 2 screens away from finishing it, and subjectively we could even say it's done right now, but I wanted to include some transition areas. For some transitions between like this biome and the next, I'm kind of lumping them into the current one because I think that makes the most sense. Anyway, that's the story. 23 minutes. Thanks for listening if you got this far. Hopefully the conversation was interesting. I understand half of it was ranting about Kingdom Hearts. I am so cool. If you like this channel still anymore, you can support it on Patreon. It's super, super helpful. Just watching the videos and letting the ads play helps too, or YouTube Red, or all those things, and even just the moral encouragement. I had a lot of fun with people in the comment section lately. Also, YouTube kind of like been a little glitchy lately. I get the feeling they're rolling out a bunch of updates, and let's just say we're beta testing for them. Anyway, thank you for watching, everyone. I'll see you in the next Let's Play. Give me lots of feedback, either on the games I mentioned for what you want to see next, or something else. Because I really mean it. This time I'm really looking. See you in the next Let's Play, everybody.